Our final section in section 3, finding and keeping a job. On finding a job, this was a quote that inspired me, that I read at a time when I was looking for a job. It was, "I can tell you the secret to finding a job even in a very bad market. It's breathtakingly simple. Look for a job. The harder you look for a job, the more time you spend looking, the more likely you are to find one." So if you are truly applying yourself and you're working super hard at finding a job, and one approach, one friend of mine made this point. He said, if you spend as much time looking for a job as you would spending in that job, you're going to find a job. So you'll have success through that. And if you have that much time, you can take what's called the all of the above approach. And the all of the above approach simply means if you're putting in this much time looking for a job, you have enough time to use all of the job searching methods. So what are some of the different ways you can find a job? Well, you could do general networking. You could target a specific company or position and go at it from that angle. You could volunteer in different types of, say, community types of work. As far as for networking and meeting new people, you could do internships. You could do a resume black hole. Guess what? When you are putting in, the all of the above approach means which one of these do? You do all of them. Because you have enough time to do that. You dedicate yourself to looking for that job. And as we've discussed previously, you're now a pro at finding a job. You know how to navigate through the physical and non-physical barriers, how to get past those screening algorithms. You know how to customize your communication. You know how to transfer your capabilities from old positions into new positions and to apply that skill set. You are open to different approaches. You're assertive. You're creative. You start using your social media profile like LinkedIn, not Snapchat or Facebook or whatever you kids are using these days. You're focusing on face-to-face networking as well, partially just to keep you sane in order to keep interacting with humans. And one of the things we discussed earlier was making sure, virtually no one fulfills 100% of the criteria. On job listings, if you fulfill 75%, good enough, you can apply. And finally, you'll have enough time for temporary and freelance gigs. For one, it's great experience. 2, you'll learn new things. And 3, they could turn into job offers. And it'll also keep you busy and keep you sane. Now, because of that, you've found a job. And now you need to keep a job. And I've fired quite a few people during my career. And as far as, these things are like dime a dozen, 10 things that require zero talent, lots of things that are like this that you'll find lists out there. But in general, they're right. I've never really fired someone who displayed these characteristics. Even if they didn't work where they were, or if we were downsizing or something like that, I could always find a place for them somewhere in the organization. And in the very rare scenarios where I couldn't, I'd actually place them and recommend them for other people I knew for other jobs that they would succeed in, because I wanted them to succeed, and also I look good for recommending someone who succeeds. And so make sure to demonstrate, the being on time, work ethic, effort, all those things. We'll discuss just a couple more of them as well. There's the old adage, walk briskly and carry a clipboard. Now, you don't literally need to carry a clipboard, although I have from time to time. But what we mean by this is that when you are working, you are in motion and you're willing to work. You are doing things, and you're doing things to actually move the needle to help your organization achieve whatever goal is at hand. And you know what? Sometimes, if you walk briskly and literally carry a clipboard, I was able to use that once on a work assignment to get me through a security where I shouldn't have been at some business operation in the Cayman Islands. It really, really works. And it probably helped me get a lot of the promotions I got, or say pay raises. And what we're really discussing is that you have confidence, you have a purpose, you have the toolkit, and you are ready just to move forward. And when people are around others who are in action, who have a bias towards acting, they feel more positive and they feel more motivated in their own work. So in a link below, I have some other elements of the article I mentioned earlier, as far as the new graduate or the newly unemployed. It can be a very discouraging time, but what can you do? You can cast a wide net, kind of look outside, perhaps your comfort zone. Maybe there's the perfect position that you're looking for, but maybe it's outside of what you initially considered. Try to get a job that's going somewhere, some place where you can develop skills. And it's actually, with the right attitude, that can be true in more places than you might think. Another is to reassess your goals and what you're trying to achieve. I love the advice that she provides on networking. Another place to look is to look back at your old firm or industry. I mean, if you already have experience in that company or in that industry, it might be a natural good fit to go back. Other things that she brings up is cutting expenses immediately, so you don't find yourself stressed out looking for a job and with no money. You find others that are in that same boat, and you find some way to make money in the meantime, like temporary freelance gigs. It's not just about the money, it's about keeping you sane and keeping you in motion. And finally, don't panic. Even after 41 interviews in the middle of a recession, don't panic. Keep going, keep plugging through. I know that's easier to say than it is to do. I know that very well, but you're going to make it. Now, how do we deal with the gap? If you are unemployed for more than a few months, the hiring manager might think maybe there's a reason why they're unemployed and I shouldn't hire them. So on your resume, you potentially should include kind of your current activities. These internships, this volunteer work that you're doing, these, freelance gigs. If there's a big enough gap, you should probably include that. Also, online education it's used to be kind of a joke, but has become better and better over time. And online certifications, it shows initiative. It shows that you're continuing to learn. Now, the much easier approach, the employed job search. Another old adage, it is easiest to find a job when you have a job. Now, why would that be the case? Well, for one, if you don't find a job, no big deal. You still have your job. There are also a lot of other reasons. One is that other people find other if one company finds you attractive and they've hired you, then maybe another company would want to win you away because it seems like you know what you're doing. So I provided an article that goes through kind of the do's and don'ts and why this is the case. So pause now or go through that article at the end of this. Lots of great advice there. A quick summary on those do's and don'ts from that list. Make sure to update your LinkedIn profile, perform well at your current job, be honest if you're confronted. And if you find yourself that everything's working out just fine where you are, maybe you're happy where you are and just keep doing what you're doing. As far as the don'ts, don't badmouth your current employer and tell people at work. If people think you're on the way out, you might be fired preemptively, or people might think that you're not dedicated to your position. You don't want to give those indications because you might not end up leaving in the end anyway. So keeping those doors open and keeping that positive behavior works just fine. Anyway, more details in the article, but those are a summary of some of the do's and don'ts. One of the benefits of the employed job search, it means someone likes you, you're demonstrating your skills right now, you have something to refer to in your interview. Oh, here's a project I'm working on right now that would solve a problem that you have as well. So it makes for a natural transition. But you don't want to start too soon after finding a new job. I mean, imagine there's someone that you're considering dating, but they've dated 37 people in the last 2 months. Like, you're probably just going to be number 38. So generally, avoid starting too soon. It doesn't look the best. Also, as we discussed, don't tell your employer, but don't be deceptive. If you're ever challenged on whether you're looking for a job, you can always say you're always looking for new challenges and you're considering all your options, but you're still very dedicated to the position and the employee and the employer that you have. In the end, this does provide leverage for negotiation with your current employer. If you do receive an offer, say that's for more money, but you have to be very careful when you're using that leverage. That can really, I've seen many people have that backfire on them. So do some research, make sure you take the right approach. We're not going to go through all those details here, but make sure that if you are going to use a potential offer as negotiation, as leverage, then you need to think it through, get your ducks in a row, don't threaten, make the manager feel comfortable with the situation. If you are one of the lucky ones who has multiple offers, this is part of your project. You will need to evaluate kind of the pros and cons. I mean, you probably shouldn't take automatically the highest paying. Make the full list of pros and cons. And so consider the salary. What's the future potential? The mission of the organization. Is this enjoyable? Is this the right location? Is it the hours that I want? Take all of these things into account, and this is going to be part of your project for Section 3 as you're evaluating different potential jobs. Finally, below, I've included a link to a TED Talk that I really liked, that listened to once, and a relauncher. What is a relauncher? It's someone who restarts their career after a significant gap. We're not talking 3 months or 6 months. We're talking, say, 3 years or 10 years or 15 years. And, the 40-year-old intern, there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, many of you will be relaunchers at some point in your careers for one reason or another. There are many, many reasons why people why there's a gap in their careers, and that's fine. It's just making sure that you attack, the biggest barriers to getting back into the market. And as discussed, and she will go through a lot of these points, but make sure that you're attacking those two biggest barriers of talking to everyone and re-entering that network and being ready. You are not there with 15-year-old technology. You are there knowing current technology and current trends. Finally, on societal prejudices, I've worked in a lot of different cultures in different countries around the world. And one thing that really inspired me in one place that I worked is that a woman was passed over for promotion, and a friend of hers said, I think they passed you over for that promotion because you belong to, XYZ group. There's different societal prejudices and individual prejudices everywhere in the world. And the response that she gave was really inspiring to me. She said, I can't think like that. Like, that's just not productive. And also, she said, maybe it's true, but it's probably not. And her attitude was that, I'm just going to keep working, stay positive, and move forward. And another area that I found really interesting and inspired me in a way, which was that researchers have shown that people are willing to disregard prejudices if it meant that they could make more money. But the trick was getting them past their prejudices so that you could have a chance to demonstrate that value. And so if someone normally wouldn't hire you because they have certain misconceptions about whatever kind of general category that they've, bucketed you in their heads, if you can demonstrate that you will be able to provide a value to them, that you're going to grow their company, that you're going to make their lives easier, they are going to be much more willing to cast away those prejudices in exchange for that benefit. People are self-interested, and we take advantage of that. Anyway, that's something that I found very interesting and inspiring for me, the example that this woman left me. All right, we're down to Project 3. Project 3, it is a doozy. You are going to become a pro at getting a job. So you'll essentially be applying everything we've covered in Section 3 so that you will be ready. You will have something ready to go that you can refer to and update moving forward, so that you will be able to apply for jobs and succeed in an interview. Except for practicing. Still got to drill on that interview practice. So go to the link below for a full description of the project and what I'm expecting of you. As you go through all of those steps, you should be much closer to being ready to make the leap and start applying for those jobs in real life and succeeding. Now go forth.